May I ask why nobody told me Unordinary Season 3 started recently? Like, as you can see here, it literally started on the 30th of July. Pretty much a month ago at this point, and obviously I sat down and I read all the chapters, I caught up and everything, but I'm just like, dude, I love Unordinary. I've been like waiting for a new chapter of the series since pretty much last year. Like, you can literally see it here. The last chapter for Season 2 was back in June of 2024, literally a year ago, and to think that so much has happened since like 2024 of summer of last year, and so many series have come and went, like to put in perspective, like Oshi no Ko, and also we had My Hero Academia and JJK and stuff, they were still relevant. They were still coming out last year. That's crazy to think about. Like, that's actually insane how long ago it's been since there's been a new chapter. So the fact that, like, I just found out that, you know, chapter 1 of season 3 came out, I'm ecstatic, man, because now I have a series to look forward to every single week, because it's honestly one of my favorite series to read on a weekly basis. I've been reading it, like I said, since 2021, and I know there's people that's obviously been reading this for a lot longer than I have. I believe the series started, like, in 2017, 2018, but still. With that being said, though, Unordinary, glad to have you back. I'm glad to be able to sit down and talk about the series again, because I have extensively talked about this series a lot in many different videos over the years. If you have been following my channel, you most likely have seen me talk about Unordinary. It's one of those series I hold a special place in my heart. It kind of, honestly, at this point in time, it scratches that itch that My Hero Academia has left behind. Now, I know the stories are fundamentally different. I know 100% they are. But, like, now that a lot of manga that I actively followed, like, for instance, shonen manga is now done, I'm glad that Unordinary is back, because it feels like it's filling that hole within my heart that I've been missing for so long, and yeah, I'm glad. Now, we gotta talk about what Season 3 is setting up, and how we got here, and how the conclusion of Season 2 was, and everything, because obviously, there might be a lot of you that might be completely unaware of what's going on, and this might be the first time you hear that Season 3 is back. So first off, as we know, Season 2 of Unordinary, it ended with Arlo and Blake being caught, and Arlo seems to more or less get off the hook, but with strings attached, so to speak. But Blake here is in a much different situation. He's in a situation where he's literally in jail/prison. He's obviously being abused, beat up, tortured, and, you know, he's pretty much being investigated on, you know, what does he know? Any information he knows about organizations he's been working with, vigilantes, faces, names, and everything. Obviously, he's not having a good time whatsoever. And as we know from this man right here, this inspector guy, we know for a fact that he is, he has a long history with our main male character, John. We've seen what he has done to John. We saw how he literally messed up John so badly that it took him legitimately hundreds of chapters to actually overcome that trauma, that PTSD that he just didn't cause on himself, but this individual caused to John as well, breaking down his very psyche and barriers and just messing with things that you should not mess with. And so the fact that this individual is now going to be working like his abilities and stuff on Blake, I honestly fear for this man, because we already get kind of an introduction to what's being done with him in the first chapter of Season 3. In the first chapter, we literally see him actually straight up, like, I'm just gonna scroll down here, you see him being tortured and having to relive memories on what's happened throughout the series thus far. It's a nice little recap, don't get me wrong, but the big issue here is that Blake is reliving moments that obviously is trauma to him. For instance, when John literally beat the living crap out of him at the end of Season 1, and it was a humiliating defeat, but at the same time, the defeat is what led Blake to grow as a person, and all the characters in the group actually to grow as characters, and why they're at the point in their lives right now within the story. But the inspector, obviously, he's abusing this, he's interrogating Blake to make this entire situation reverse character development, and I love that, honestly. Like, I know people are going to be sad to see Blake going through this because he's a fan favorite character, but sometimes reverse character development, or having a character regress to a degree, is some good stuff, because we're going to get to see a character go through what John went through, and see how this character is able to either A, overcome that said trauma that John had to already overcome, or regress even further into it. I'm curious. We will have to see ourselves if Blake is stronger than the inspector and stronger than John to overcome something like this. But getting back into the main point, I really do think that the angle that the story is presenting itself right now is, for one, there's going to be a jailbreak. That the very, presentation of Season 3 so far, like, if you go to the final, like, stuff of the chapter, the first chapter, Season, 3, you see that John and Sarah are making plans, and they're trying to figure out a way to get, like, for instance, Arlo and Blake out of custody, out of police custody and all that. And I believe what's going to happen here, there's going to be a massive jailbreak, and thanks to the manipulation and the mind warping that Blake is going through, it's probably going to cause some complications to where maybe John's not going to be able to get Blake out of there. And maybe John might have to sacrifice himself or something to be able to, you know, get Blake out of there. And John's going to be stuck inside the prison cell. I can definitely see something like that happening, especially since we know the whole ordeal with John's mother being alive and the connection with the government and everything within the story. It definitely, the story, the plot line definitely leads towards that direction. It makes me assume that is where the story is going to go. But anyways, I'm getting very, 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 very ahead of myself. First off, I do want to say that I love the new direction for the story because, for one, as we know, if you've been reading Unordinary for a while now, if you're up to date, the story, more or less, has always been, like, outside of school, but mainly in the school-focused environment, like safe house and everything. But Season 3 is kind of like a completely new era for the story, because now with everything that went down at the end of Season 2, with the whole new principal and John and everybody else on the run now, going back to school is no longer an option. It's like our characters have grown up. They are now adults. They have to deal with the real-life consequences within their world and figure out what they could do either to change the world or break thanks to that said world. Whatever the case may be, or wherever the direction the story wants to go, I love the new direction that the story is going, because it's now focused outside of the school environment, and it's focused on progressing the actual main overarching plot line, which is dealing with, like, the authorities, the police, and everything that obviously has this very corrupt and messed up society that has really just destroyed a lot of people's lives. And we have seen many different examples of this throughout Season 1, Season 2, and now even Season 3. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I do think, though, that we're going to probably see a lot of turncoats within, like, the authorities and the police organizations and stuff probably turn on the actual government they work for to work with John and them if they find out what's exactly going on, because a lot of them obviously don't know. We've seen the media manipulation and everything like that, so I am curious to see what some of them will do as the story progresses. Which, by the way, that gets into another big part. The investigator that obviously is torturing Blake. Blake knows a lot. We know this, and he's getting interrogated, okay? He sees everything. It's straight up, it's mentioned in Season 3 already, that he saw everything. He sees what Blake has went through, he sees what the authorities have been doing, and that they're the real corrupt ones, and that he's working for an organization that is just corrupted to the very core. And I feel like there's going to be a point within the story that it's building towards, is that he's going to have to make a decision. Does he try to continue working with the authorities despite it being very corrupted, or does he turn against them to try to do better for society? I'm very curious. However, the way the story is painting it, he seems more or less someone that wants to save Blake by making him a worser version of himself. Because if he doesn't save Blake, he's obviously aware that Blake is going to be executed. He's going to die. And so if he doesn't manipulate him or change his perspective in some way or form, then Blake will end up it's game over for him, so to speak. So I could see him feeling responsible for that if that indeed happens. I mean, we've already had a death within the story. I mean, let's think about what happened to John's father. So, I mean, it would be crazy. It honestly would be crazy. Like, for instance, like someone like Blake died or something, or Arlo. Fan favorite characters, but I could definitely see something like that happening. But anyways, yeah, I'm so happy to be back, man. I'm so happy to be able to talk about this series again, because I love Unordinary. It's a great series. I highly recommend it. If you are not up to date with Unordinary, I truly think you should start it. It's got a lot of chapters. I mean, look, it has 300, like, well, actually, wait, no, that's old chapters. It has 350 chapters, okay? It's a lot of chapters, and this is just the beginning of Season 3, and typically when you look at, like, how these seasons last, they last 100 plus chapters. So we're looking at maybe 400, maybe 500 chapters in total for Unordinary if it ends around Season 3 or Season 4. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of content. If you really want a good binge, you want something to really read, you should definitely read this series. Which, by the way, where's my anime? Like, if there's any webtoon that needs an anime, it's this series, dude. Like, I really hope that one day Unordinary gets an anime, because it deserves one. It'd be great, honestly. If it gets good art animation, a good studio, oh my goodness, it would be absolute cinema. But okay, I'm going to leave it at that, though. If you are interested in this series and you want to read it for yourself, link is in the description. Check it out and all that. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment to help with the algorithm. But with that, Chibi out.